Guten Tag and welcome to Tinker Tailor Solder Fry, the Let's Try program here on the mighty Loading Ready Run Video Entertainment Network. My name's Ian Horner, and I'll be your navigator through today's proceedings. And of course, as always, we've got Paul over in the Crystal Gondola on the ones and zeros.
Hello.
Hello to you as well. Good to have you and everyone at home with us, whether you're active in the chat live at twitch.tv/loadingreadyrun, watching on the VOD over at youtube.com/loadingreadyalive, or if you're one of those special people we like to call out who gives us your generous contributions over patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. Patreon.com/loadingreadyrun is the place where we like you to go to engage with us in a monetary fashion. It helps keep the lights on, helps keep us employed, and keeps bringing all the Loading Ready Run goodness directly to your eyeballs and ear holes in the in a regular manner, the conventional manner, shall we say. Tonight we've got another cooking challenge here for us. Tonight we're going to be making what is the recipe calls a vegetarian Beet Reuben sandwich, which is why I have brought the beets to today's proceedings. Let's see if I can give, no, we had it beforehand. Close enough. Wait, one more. No. Oh well. We're going to take these beets. We're going to quick pickle them in a pastrami-like manner. And then we're going to build up a sandwich, grill it down, and hopefully it will be delicious. So as always, we should probably start by going over the ingredients, which means you're going to need at least one small beet. I don't know what they mean by small beets when they say sized, so I bought two of them, just in case. And we're going to need to peel and thinly slice those as we go on. You're also going to need one shallot finely minced, so we'll chop that up and then chop it up finer to a mince in just a few minutes. We're going to need some red wine vinegar. I'm going off-brand and going with some sherry vinegar today because that's what I had in the shelf. I think it should probably be a-okay. We're going to be having some 1.5 cups of water. Now I'm going to decide whether or not if that will be enough if we want to do both beets at the same time. I think we do, because who doesn't like having quick pickled beets around? And here's where things are going to get really different from the recipe. The recipe, as it is posted in delishknowledge.com, I think this recipe came to me actually via just social media. Someone was on a beets kick and decided to post about their Beet Reuben sandwich. And dang, we got a number of vegetarians here at Loading Ready Run and in my life in general, and thought it might be fun to try a vegetarian recipe for a Reuben. So that's the beets. Then we need to spice the beets. And the original recipe says that you should go with just some caraway seeds. And I think that's not going to be quite enough for us. The caraway's got a nice smell to it. It goes well with the beets and the acidity, the astringency of the vinegar. But that's not all that there is to a Reuben. When you're having a Reuben, you're having generally pastrami. And pastrami, generally, in addition to caraway, if you want your caraway, they generally rub it down and brine it with some mustard seed, some garlic, and some coriander seed. You can grow your own coriander at home. You can't have mine. So that's what we're going to do. Is we're going to add some more spices to the beet mix in hopes that it's going to make it a bit more pastrami-y, in addition to the general brine flavor to it. It also, recipe-wise, suggests that you make your own mayo, and I find this is generally a good thing to do, is making your own dressings. Thousand Island is what they call it. So we're going to need 1/4 cup of this mayonnaise, 3 tablespoons of chopped pickles, which we won't chop ourselves. 3 tablespoons of catsup, and 1 teaspoon or half teaspoon of hot sauce. We're using Valentino's today. It's again what we had in the cupboard.
I do not remember Thousand Island dressing on Reuben, but maybe it was there and I just wasn't noticing it because of all the other things going on.
They might have also just called it special sauce at the time or something like that. Then, finally, we get to make it into a sandwich, and for that we're going to need our rye bread. We're going to need our drained sauerkraut, and we are going to need slices of Swiss cheese. Other brands of all of these are available. Do not trust Saputo, the burglar of flavor. And then we're going to grill it all up. So that's your recipe. I figure there's no reason for us to spend any more time elucidating. Let's just get right into it. Ooh, Funko says it's always noted as a Russian dressing. So that could be another disambiguation. Oh yeah, and there's paprika and black pepper for the beets too. But we should probably start by prepping the beets and then getting them going, because they're going to need to simmer on low for 30 to 60 minutes until they're tender, depending on the size of your beet slices. So I guess let's start by doing some protection on ourselves. The best way I know to slice things is with a mandolin. The best way to absolutely ruin your hands is with a mandolin, unless you use protection, and that's what we're going to do today. Boy, I had a bad run-in with a mandolin a few weeks ago, and chopped the hunk off my thumb, and we're finally getting back to full power here on that one there. You can kind of see it looks a little bit red. But
very, very efficient at cutting things, but not very discriminatory about what it cuts.
Exactly. And if you're pushing something down on it, and that's a hard thing that might, break the coefficient of friction, and your hand naturally wants to turn up, and the thumb goes down, boop, you get a nice little slice of thumb meat in with whatever you're making. So that's why whenever I'm using my microplanes or my mandolin, I always use a cut-resistant glove these days.
Well, not always. Once you didn't, and then now we have the...
Yeah, I've got the forever information now.
And that would also stop this from being vegetarian, which is no good.
Good point. Well, that's a good thing. The could still potentially be vegan if I freely gave my flesh to the Reuben. I don't know how it works on accident, though. Regardless, beets are absolutely... they're delicious, but they are stainy as hell. So what we're going to do is we're going to double up here a bit, because we want to peel the beets first. So we've got some peeling, but we're going to want the hand protection for that. So we're going to get the glove on here that's cut protective, and then protect that from getting completely stained up. We're going to cover that in some other glove. Double wrapping is not always a bad idea. Ooh.
But then if the glove does get, outer glove does get cut, then that will make it coloring,
yeah.
I guess.
But I think that's the, you know what, I'd be fine with a little beet stain on the glove. But I don't necessarily want, a fully beet stained glove all the time. So let's get started by, I'm going to actually chop the ends off these guys here because they're easier to peel when you do that. Let's use that knife. Sure. Ooh, that's actually relatively sharp. Surprisingly so. Okay, and just a bit there that needs shaven. And then we'll get you next. Already.
Remember to shave your beets.
Ooh, there we go. Definitely already a beety smell in the room.
I quite like a good beet in circumstances. They are so have such a sort of a striking color when combined, and so you don't need a lot of them to make something look quite fancy.
Oh, and you can really vary the flavor too. My two favorite ways to eat beets are, as aforementioned, pickled, usually in the Ukrainian style, because that's what I got when I was growing up. But I also like to, in the winter months, just do up a big old oven or cookie sheet of roasted vegetables, and beets absolutely get added to that.
My dad likes to make like borscht and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Get lots of tasty stuff going on in there.
I haven't done a borscht yet because I need to look around to find a recipe that I will like. Because there's many ways you can make borscht.
It's true. It is one of those, every family has their borscht recipe, I guess. Or just, you put in whatever you got around in the fridge.
Yeah. Stone soup, replace stone with beet. I also have beet. The sauerkraut is another thing I'd like to experiment with at some point in the future, and that might be something we could actually do on the show, because there is a good amount of prep work to be done before it just has to go sleep for months. Nice. Okay, and let's get ourselves a paper towel to put our fallen tools onto. So don't end up staining everything.
Is sauerkraut just like, coleslaw that's been around for too long? Well, in the same way that, like wine turns to vinegar, coleslaw into sauerkraut.
Yeah, I think you're putting a lot more in the coleslaw than you are in the sauerkraut before you get to that magic point. We should probably, while we've got our compost bag set up, let's grab a few other things that need to get cleaned up, like a couple cloves of garlic. Sure. Put that aside there. And let's crack those open right now. I've used a lot of techniques to unwrap garlic, and the one I found that's the most reliable for me and requires the least amount of setup or cleanup is the slight twist. Just take your wrapped garlic and just give it a slight twist until you hear it crack. And you'll more than likely not have actually cracked the interior clove itself, but just the thing. And then it's quite easy to just slip your fingers in, and the skin tends to lift off pretty easily when you're not wearing gloves. This is a new experience, and it's not as easy as it is with the fingers, but
wearing two pairs of gloves.
Yeah. Yes. The gloves really remove a lot of the texture that your fingers normally have. It turns out having fingerprints is great for grip and stuff. Nerdy Trio says, as a former chef, I love Ian's methodicalness to try and keep things clean. That is really just due to a fact of life that we are in an operative studio that generally does not have any of the usual things you would have in a kitchen to keep things clean. So we kind of gotta make do. Ooh, okay. Maybe it's just the beets are soft, because this knife, not having fun with the garlic. And let's do the same with the shallot. Let's break that open. No special technique for shallots, just in fact probably easier to cut the end off, and then we can really get at the skin that way.
Oh yeah, what are you drinking tonight?
Tonight's brew is Ridgelines Ridgeline, a hazy IPA from Mount Aerosmith Brewing. It is not one that it's one that I've had one of before, and it was generally okay. But the hazies of this variety definitely get very, very bitter towards the end. So watch out for the last couple sips from your can or glass. All right. Come on. You can do it. And by you, I mean me.
What actually is a hazy IPA? Like, what's the haziness?
The haziness comes from the fact that it is unfiltered. Now, why would you leave something unfiltered? Well, if you're hopping it, dry hopping it after the fact, maybe you want to keep some of the particulates in there for extra flavor. But that's really all it comes down to is the unfilteredness. You're getting a raw flavor, a rawer flavor. I don't think there are any other. I don't think you probably could do a hazy lager, but there's not really any reason to because it is a bottom fermenting beer. So by nature, all the yeast is going to head to the bottom of the keg anyway, and you'll probably not see it when it gets taken out. But
I mean, is that one of those, like, if the beer doesn't turn out so well, oh, well, this is just a hazy one.
Perhaps in the past that may have been the way, but I think...
Oh, no, it's supposed to be like that. Yeah.
I think these days, they regardless of what the origin of the beer was, they have certain regulations and standards that need to be kept up before it can be sold for food. Okay, that's the cleanup of the veg, so we can just toss that bag aside now as well and get right to planing our beets. And that is kind of what a mandolin is, isn't it? It's an upside down plane, which you run the
I suppose so, yeah. We playing those beets.
Got this a while back. Don't use it all that often, but when I do, it's indispensable.
I feel like my parents had like a bright orange version of this same thing.
Oh yeah, I think they come in a few different colors, but I do know that a few of them are the colors are based on size. Technique is watch your hand. Ooh, I think that's going to be about the level that we want, because I don't think we want these paper thin, because they'll just disintegrate. Anything thicker than this will be too thick to
it looks
mirror the idea of a pastrami slice.
Does the pickling process shrink them a little bit, or does it expand them a little bit?
I think beet is one of those things that, actually maybe I'm going to turn it down just a bit. One of those things that doesn't really change shape. It's got enough fiber in it.
Oh, okay.
That it doesn't really respond to cooking. But you can really see the concentric circles in the growth there. Oh yeah, that's the stuff. And all the same size, which when you're cooking something hard down to soft is what you want.
I mean, I will say in terms of like in comparing that to like the amount of meat that one would normally see on a Reuben type sandwich, that doesn't seem like a huge, like how many is this to make, 1 or 2 sandwiches?
This is to make 4, supposedly.
4 sandwiches?
So
that seems like not a lot.
I agree with you 100%, Paul. I think we're absolutely going to want both these beets. Wipe this down so it doesn't stain quite so bad.
Then again, some people, often at like a deli or something, if you get the Reuben or those kind of sandwiches, they do go a little nutso on the piling it high with stuff.
I mean, that's I've never said no to more pastrami on my Reuben sandwiches. But I don't necessarily. I haven't been to a lot of places here in town, but I don't feel like we've got a great deli here in Victoria.
Yeah, I don't know. There have been sort of a few places, but I don't know.
Yeah. I'll need to take a trip out to the Jewish Community Center at some point to give them a try. But
There's a place over by Yellow Jacket that does pretty good. They do like Reuben, like Montreal smoked meat and that kind of
yeah,
stuff.
Broughton Street Deli.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
One of those places that has like a big sign that's like, come eat where the locals eat.
yeah, that
And
one's
it's like, I've never, it's like, I've eaten there like twice. So.
should I be eating here more? Is that what we're saying? All right, let's get cooking. Actually, so for the beets, we need the 2 beets. Beets. And beets. Ooh, and I can probably take these gloves off now for a while, because we're no longer touching a red, stainable.
There's no more mandolining?
No more mandolining. This is a pretty simple show here. So I brought in some activities to while away some of the time while we wait for the beets to finish up being beated. But let's get the things in there that we need. I need to mince a shallot. I'm not going to use this knife. I've already given it a try, and it's just different enough from what I'm used to that I feel like I'll make a dog's breakfast of things if I use that one. But I did bring a sharpener along if we did want to sharpen it later. Let's move that out of the way. And cut off. No, leave that on. Right, we want to leave that on because we want to.
Oh, this is of a technique.
Yeah. Again, my finger technique is not the greatest, but
I feel like maybe you should have left the glove on, but
and probably different hand is what we probably would have wanted to do. Okay, that should be good, and now we can cut right down the end. And then we can do the same thing, cut strips almost to the end.
I see. So you're leaving it connected at the top to make it easier to keep it together.
Exactly. And lastly, and then we'll just come on. Oh, that's a nice fine mince there. And this does go in with the beets too. Great.
A shallot is sort of has it's like a milder flavor onion.
I've actually found them, at least in the nose, spicier.
Spicier.
Yeah. A little bit more pungent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I've always thought of them as the fancy onion.
Yeah. I mean, that's sort of like, I remember like, buying some stuff. My brother and I were making like something for like Christmas dinner or something. We had a recipe, and so we were at the store and we were like buying some stuff, and buying some shallots, and somebody there's that somebody who we ran into somebody we knew who was like, ooh, shallots, very fancy.
Yeah, I actually had not used a shallot in my cooking until I moved to Victoria, believe it or not. And had my first recipe where I added a shallot to something, and I thought, God, how did I go 40 years of my life without using these things in cooking? I've been missing it on so much good flavor.
Recipe calls for garlic and onion. Add a shallot for depth and nuance.
It calls just for shallots. The garlic is going to be for the pastrami note. But I guess the shallot will also add to that.
Yeah, but yeah, it's definitely in that sort of fancy onion.
Yeah. And to that, I just say to people, if you think it's too fancy for your own cooking, give it a try anyway. It's a great ingredient. It adds great flavor that you don't get with anything else. So let's bust out the slap chop method. And by slap, I mean just slap, and then we'll chop it a couple there, and that should... That's the garlic is not for eating. The garlic is just for adding aroma and flavor to the beets themselves. Right. Give me a little water there. Come on. Make my own rag. Ooh, use it in risotto. That sounds like a good place for shallot. Baked potato is also a really good place for your shallots if you want to get cross your fancy with your mundane. Cup and a half of water. Let's see how that looks, if that covers everything up. Because that... you know what? I think we go to the full double recipe for this, which I am fine with. Another cup and a half. There we go. That actually covers everything just nicely. And what do we do now? Shallot, beet, full cup of red wine vinegar. Whew. Well, I mean, I've had this for a while, so... Right. Out you come. If you will, I would appreciate it. Come on. Coming out bit by bit. There we go. No, I don't even know why I have that thing in there. Oh, yeah, probably to keep it sealed is the main reason.
Seem to be doing that pretty well.
Yeah, well, it interfaces with a cap in the way that allows it to not be evaporating. Airtight, that's the word. All right, ooh, love that smell. In you go. I suppose we can be heating this up here, actually, while we go.
So pickling, is it essentially just simmering it in an acidic solution?
Yep, that's for a quick pickle. That's really what it is. And then you just let it for a quick pickle in the conventional manner. What you'd do is you'd let it cool down, put it in the fridge, and just let it sit there for another few hours or so. But for this case, I think having it warm is not necessarily a bad idea. It will cool down a bit as we assemble the sandwiches, but we're going to be grilling the sandwich anyway, so why wait for it to get cold and then come back up again? All right, we need spices now. This is where things will get fun. Let me get my spice grinder out as well. We're going to do a super coarse grind on these, like just basically barely breaking up the spices. Mm-hmm. But do you need to salt the beets, says a nearby tray. The answer, according to the recipe, is no. And I think that's, I don't know, that might actually be an oversight on their part. All right, how big can we get the cracks there? Big enough, good. And yes, it is the Kewpie mayo because, you know, if you're going to use mayo, use good mayo. All right, caraway seeds. We want a full teaspoon of those. If I was being really fancy, I would actually go ahead and toast the spices beforehand, but let's see, we've gone right into the beet brewing. Oh, do love to huff some caraway. Right, 1 teaspoon of that in the pot. And we should probably just do the same with the rest of the spices because that seems correct. Mustard. Love a bulk barn because it allows me to get just the amount of spice I think I need for 15 cents.
So These aren't spices that you just sort of have around?
The coriander I did, the mustard seed I had not, and the caraway I have not actually. And what the heck, let's add in a bit of paprika there too, because that is also called for in your pastrami. About almost a teaspoon. Dust that in. And last but not least, some black pepper. Dang it. That feel when your teaspoon won't fit inside your spice jar. In fact, honestly, I just replaced a bunch of my spice containers at home for that very reason. And there was a big sale on some flap top jars. Specifically this kind. So I just bought 20 of them, and now that's what I have for spices. All right, let's grind up our friends. Super rough grind. Oh. Hey. And just so you all can see, maybe if I can get the camera in there. There we go. The rough grind, not too fine, but not too loose either. That should let the spices mingle. All right. Excited for that. Oh, wow. I just got a whiff of that, and I am smelling 100% pastrami.
Weird.
Really amazing. Yeah, weird that would be the case.
I mean, but before we went online, we were talking a little bit about, the like famous thing of apple pie with like Ritz crackers or whatever, like something, and it's just like the spices are the important thing that make it taste like apple pie. And is this sort of the same idea? It's like, as long as there's like it's like the textural thing, and then as long as there's sort of good substrate.
Yeah. Now, my surprise comes not from the fact that it smells like pastrami, because that is the intention. The surprise is that I managed to get the ratio right enough that it does taste like or smell like pastrami. So that was just an eyeballing or an estimation of what we needed, because the recipe just says caraway, and I'm not gonna be beholden to just the recipe today. Okay, so bring to a boil, then reduce heat to low and cook until beets are fork tender, about 30 to 60 minutes. Let's max the power. 1800 watts.
Oh, so it's not supposed to simmer. It's supposed to actually boil away.
No. It is supposed to simmer. You bring it down to low and cook.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Once it comes up, you'll.
Yeah. It's, just being up to temperature, and I think it might have a little bit to do with the food safetiness of it all too.
That's fair.
If you bring it to boil, nothing can survive that. That's not true.
Although it is kind of nice, like, from a sort of food safety perspective, like, it's, raw vegetables aren't really that big an issue as opposed to raw meat.
But especially if you're going to be, keeping something in your fridge for a while, you probably want to make sure it's as dead as it can be.
Yes, the 1800 is not the not the temperature.
While that's coming up to a boil, though, how about we drain our sauerkraut? Because that's something that needs to happen as well. I have never had this particular brand of sauerkraut before, so we'll see if it's any good or not. Whoa! That is organic sauerkraut.
Who up? Draining the sauerkraut.
raw and unpasteurized. So might have to put that through the boil too. And to drain it, we're just going to use my my rice washer. It makes a good draining apparatus. Lots of seeds in this too. Not sure what of, but
Wait, seeds?
yep. Should be an ingredient list on here.
What?
Green cabbage, water, sea salt, caraway seeds, heyo,
Oh,
and juniper berries.
we're double up on caraway.
Yeah.
Is this a particular this is like unpassed? Is this like a particularly fancy sauerkraut?
It was what I could find at the market on Yates, so I guess
The market does tend to have fancy things.
does tend to, but it also has Saputo cheese. So really, who can say?
You have a real animosity about Saputo cheese.
It's unfortunate that they are the easiest cheese to use for sandwiches, but they are a little bit dearth of flavor. Oh, you know what? Let's drain some of this water back into the jar for future use. And then the rest of it can go in there. Yeah, the market is generally a good place to go if you want to feel fancy about your food. And sometimes it is, and sometimes it's
one of those places where it's got they usually have the regular stuff, but then beside it on the shelf there'll be the Salt Spring Island organic version of that same thing.
Exactly.
It costs twice as much for half the size of container.
This bread here today was placed directly next to the Wonder Bread. So.
I don't know if I have a sophisticated enough palate to tell the difference between, honey from different flowers.
Mm. Well, that's the thing. Sometimes there is a difference, and sometimes there just isn't. But the only way to tell is by trying. I don't know if that's going to be going to keep that lovely pastrami smell, but we'll find out in 30 minutes. In the meantime, we should probably get to work on our mayonnaise. I'm going to wait until this finishes boiling, though, just so I can keep an eye on it. The last thing I want is for a beet juice mixture to boil over here.
Yes, that would be unfortunate.
Yeah. Last thing, we don't want Ben coming in here tomorrow morning and saying, "Who died?" That would be Ian. He committed ritual seppuku with a spatula after he spilled all the beet juice and stained the carpet.
Unfortunately, just stained the carpet more, which is really not that productive.
True, but at least then I wouldn't have to deal with the aftermath. Okay, that's a full boil. Let's bring her down. Instant. All right. Set a timer for 30 minutes. Sip. And let's get our pickles on. You know what? So I brought these from home because I recently decided to try different. Was in the store. And the pickle man, by which I mean just the selections of pickles allowed for a Canadian brand of sliced pickles. For it ended up being more pickle per dollar than the Bix variety in unsliced. And since normally we use our pickles at home for sandwiches, figured that would make a lot of sense. Save me a step.
Mm.
Well, yes and no. Saves me a step from having to slice up a pickle to put on our sandwiches, but the being sliced in the jar means that these pickles are a lot more moist than your standard pickle, or your contiguous pickle. We're just going to give these a pat dry here, so that our
Now I want to call sliced bread non-contiguous bread.
contiguous bread. Yeah. It's the best invention since non-contiguous bread. All right. So we don't want to liquidize our mayonnaise too much, is what I'm saying here.
Right, I can imagine, and yeah, I'm starting to get some smell in here.
Okay.
That's when you know it's good.
When it makes it into the booth. Just a bit more there. Yeah, that's good. And then we'll just give some of these some really fine dices. We'll find out if I did eyeball correctly the 3 tablespoons worth. I figured if I folded up one of these slices, it would probably be about the size of a tablespoon. But again,
Fair.
that was an eyeball. But I think we're looking pretty close. I do 1 tablespoon. Good. It's good. Ooh, just over, I think. So I'll have a little snack on break. Going with what the recipe recommends for this, simply because I don't want to over pickle the dressing.
Mm.
That over there with the beets.
Over pickle.
Down the knife. Keep the acid off too much. Next up is the what goes in Thousand Island? Quarter cup mayo and ketchup and the hot sauce. Okay. Well, let's give our beets a little stir here. I'll make sure all the beets are being coated by the juice. The bubbling looks a bit brown, but I think that's due to the Hungarian paprika.
What? Mm.
It's half a teaspoon. That's not all that much. That's a quarter. That's a half. Whoop. Sticky hot sauce.
Is this a particular favorite hot sauce, or is this just what was available?
This is well, I mean, it's half full.
There you go.
To see. It's probably my second favorite hot sauce from home. This is what I put in when I don't want to completely be burning my mouth.
Okay.
The favorite hot sauce is one that I know is available cross-border because it is in fact produced in Mexico and is a favorite from Mexico up here to Canada, and that's Yucateco brand. Their XXX 4X hot habanero sauce.
4X hot.
Which doesn't seem that hot, and in fact in Australia just means it's a beer, but it's got a really good flavor to it, in addition to being a very hot sauce. But I figured it might be a little bit too, for those who are not used to it, might be a bit too hot. What is your opinion on hot sauce there?
I have a not that high a tolerance, but
Okay.
I do like a little bit of a kick. Can
Little
be
kick.
quite nice.
Mm-hmm.
My hot additive of choice is chipotle. I I love me some chipotle sauce,
Oh,
or
the smokiness.
yeah, it's real good stuff.
Taco Fino, when it was in its old location in town here, had a good selection of hot sauces available on their small counter,
Mm.
and that's where I got my love of the Chipotle. Right, we were going to add in our ketchup and our mayonnaise, and these I think I can eyeball. I'll give this a shake though. Oh yes, talking about chipotle peppers in adobo sauce is
Oh yes.
one of those things that lives in my fridge. Sorry.
And yeah, and mix with some. You can do the sort of with the mayo, or you can just do it straight, or different things. But very tasty.
It's a key ingredient in a number of my favorite Mexican dishes, including a fantastic tortilla soup recipe that I think I've either done on this stream before or will have to do in the future. All right, quarter cup mayo. This is going to be the toughest measurement to eyeball, but if I have reference, I think I can do it.
I do find sometimes with hot stuff, depending on what type it is, but it can be it can kind of build up on you in a not pleasant way, where it's sort of you sort of take a couple bites, you're like, okay, this is good, and then by the time you're sort of halfway through whatever you're eating, you're like, okay, this is not fun anymore.
Yep. It's been a while since I've had something sneak up on me like that, but I look forward to it in the future.
Mm.
Should I ever encounter any future hot sauces?
Remember when I was going to university up in Nanaimo, the cafeteria was run by the culinary arts students, which is great.
Always good.
And so I was going for dinner with one of my friends, and he got like a big plate of spaghetti, and they had like the little sort of there's like the little thing of like chili flakes, and those are usually pretty minor in terms of spiciness.
Pretty tame.
Didn't realize that, I guess, because it was like you being used in the culinary arts thing, they were like fresh, good quality chili flakes. And so he put a bunch on, and it was like a giant plate of spaghetti too. And he just started eating it. He was like, and he was just, and we're college students, so he's like, but I have to get my money's worth. He was breaking out into sweat.
Rough. And then I'm sure the next time it was just a slightly less amount than what was on before.
Yeah.
Like, I just need this to feel anything now.
I mean, I do have a suspicion that like people who are super into the hot stuff, like who are getting the max max nitro stuff, it's like, I don't think you're getting used to the hot thing. I think you're actually like, you've just burned off your taste buds. And like that's like at that point it's no longer like enjoying, like that's just that you've built up like a callus on your tongue.
Yeah, and that's my opinion on the hot sauce, as well as I don't necessarily, I hope that I'm not burning out my taste buds, but one of the things I like most about the hot sauces is the flavor that comes with them. And when you are getting up to that millions of Scoville's rankings, there's no way you can taste the flavor over top of that amount of assault on your taste buds.
Right, and there definitely is a big difference between sort of something that is delicious and spicy and something that is just kind of that like sort of cheap, like just somebody dumped a ton of Tabasco on it or something, and it's
just capsaicin.
Yeah, it's just like this is just hurty but not good.
We got some mustard floating to the surface there. And the beets are starting to give up some of their color too. It looks like.
Oh yeah,
That one
yeah.
seems a little transparent.
I mean, they are quite thin slices, so I guess we'll see.
We only need to get them to fork tender, and we'll be checking that in 18 minutes or so. So,
I remember seeing a thing with I forget what his name is, but the guy who invented or raised the the ghost pepper and the scorpion and the pepper X, I think is the latest one he did. Where he's
everything pepper.
He has the most the hottest peppers that anybody's ever done, and he's such a sort of jovial kind of guy. But he's like walking through his greenhouse, and he's saying like even just standing in the greenhouse like makes your eyes water.
Yeah, that's more than I'm looking for, I think.
But then he is like, I love I love making this hot sauce and stuff. It's like, knowing that I'm bundling things up, and somewhere in the world way far away, I'm causing pain for somebody.
Like, dude, it's so much easier to get that same sense of satisfaction about giving people pain. Just take up streaming. But I wanted to address there. The Meerkat says in the chat, good news concerning Paul's concern. Most spicy things don't bother your taste buds. What they attack is your pain receptors in your mouth. So you can consume as much as you want and your taste buds will remain pristine. That's good to know.
I guess whatever it's doing, maybe it isn't actually like attacking your taste buds, but it certainly does seem to be maybe it's less of a physical effect on the taste buds and more like a psychological
thing. Yeah, overriding just any sort of sense that you have in that area.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a simple way of testing this, I guess, is to just cause grievous injury to your arm so that it hurts, and then try to touch different texture things like sandpaper or fur.
There's an easy way to test this. Just cause grievous injury. As as soon as that's part of your experimental protocol, it's probably not a great idea.
Here's the secret tip for all you kids at home too. If you do it on yourself, you don't have to go before the ethics board. I mean, if you want to publish, you still do have to go before the ethics board. But if it's just for your own personal knowledge, academia can't stop you.
I was just reading an article about an exciting new multi or broad spectrum anti-venom.
Oh yes,
that they've synthesized from a guy who got bit by like 19 different snakes.
A guy who loves snakes, and so he just let his snakes keep on biting him. Apparently, he did have some sort of natural defense against venom, but he apparently rose those defenses or worked that muscle.
Yeah.
And it means, that there's going to be some new anti-venom developed for snakes.
Yeah, he was doing the getting bit by snakes in order to try to build up immunity to it, and then scientists were like, hey, maybe we could, like, he was doing it by himself, not because that they were going to, like, make an anti-venom. He was just doing it for his own edification.
Hey, buddy, can we borrow some of your blood? What for? Nothing. Oh, he volunteered. Good. You know what? That's also a strange situation. First of all, who's manning the science store that you go to that this guy can walk up to a counter at and say, I'd like to submit my body to science, please. Sir, this isn't the DMV. No, I'm alive. And now. That's it. We should, at the top of the hour, like we usually do, take ourselves a short break. So we're going to get up, stretch our legs, swap our fluids, put some stuff in the trash, and be back with more Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Fry in just a few minutes. Don't go all the way away. Welcome back to Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Fry here on Mighty Loading Ready Run Entertainment Network. I've been thinking about that. Is video entertainment the correct word? Because we do podcasts, but then we put them on YouTube. So I'll stick with Video Entertainment Network. We're making beets. Why are we making beets? Because they're going to stand in for pastrami in a vegetarian Reuben sandwich. And we're coming at 6 minutes before a half hour of simmering's gone on here. And I just noticed the sound of the... you probably can't... Well, you can't hear it because the fan is being cut out by some filtering. But from my end, I can hear a very tiny pop and hum every couple seconds as the induction heater pushes some power directly to the bottom of the pan. It's a sort of a...
Here. I mean, I can turn off the...
Yeah, I'll get right in there.
Oh, yeah.
One more?
Yeah, I can hear that a little bit.
Yeah, it's very, very faint, but it definitely exists. Yeah, I didn't think that that it pulsed like that, but I guess it makes sense if they to make these things affordable. Right. So we have our dressing, we have our sauerkraut, we have our bread, we have our cheese, we've got everything we need. Just need to wait for these things to finish coming down, and while we wait for them to come down, and probably we wait just a little bit of time for the beets to cool and drain, let's make sure that, yeah, I'm not happy enough with the sharpness of our office knife, so let's take care of that.
Some, folks in the chat were mentioning that the knife did look a little dull.
I mean, I don't know the last time it's been sharpened at all, so let's...
If ever.
Yes. And for all you folks at home, I will make sure to use the brass safety rods as well. I don't think we're going to need to put a back bevel on this, but it does have the option for... This is the Spyderco Sharp Maker. Other sharpeners are available, but this is the one that I bought years ago, and it's served me reasonably well, I will say.
And now this is sharpening as opposed to honing.
Yes.
Which is what you do with the big steel.
Yes. Yeah, the honing is... Well, honing, what that does... What you do when you're sharpening is trying to make a very fine, almost foil-like edge on the blade, and that's what keeps it sharp. Honing takes that edge and straightens it out, because the act of cutting itself will
sort of fold it over a little bit.
Exactly, bend and fold that edge. Pushing against the cutting board will absolutely do that. And the harder the cutting board you have, the more chance you're going to be dulling your knives with each cut. Which is why most people who do a lot of cooking tend to prefer plastic or wooden cutting boards. Wood, fun fact, wood's actually a natural antiseptic in some forms. but you should still wipe things down when you're done. Don't just cut raw meat and expect it to self heal. But nice thing about the plastic cutting boards is they can go in the dishwasher for sterilization and cleaning, in addition to just being clean. But yeah, anytime you use your knife and you're hitting something hard, it's causing wear on and deformation on that. So you can, once you've got a good edge, you can theoretically hone it out if you haven't done too much damage. Once you've done too much damage, that's when the sharpener comes out, and that ends up taking metal directly off the blade. This one has two different angles, a 40-degree edge angle and a back bevel of 30 degrees. I always forget that because I never use the 30-degree side. I just go back and sharpen more. The idea of the back bevel existing is theoretically to provide more support for that edge so that there's less chance of it going dull more quickly. But if you're sharpening your knives fairly regularly or honing them, it's less of an issue. Oh my goodness, is that ever a dull blade?
All right, I'm going to go ahead and turn off the noise removal again so we can get some of this noise, although it will bring in the sound of the fan from the...
I think we've actually done this before, and we've clipped the microphone directly to the knife blade to get that full level of ASMR. The instructions recommend that you do 40 strokes per side.
40? Wow.
I've already lost count, so...
It's a very, like, Karate Kid kind of, like, you do the... It's like, now that you have done this 500 times, now you are ready.
Well, you do need to... It is actually fairly Karate Kid-esque as well, in the sense that you do need to pay attention, because you need to keep that knife straight up and down and not wiggle it around in the Z-axis also.
I guess we should have done, like, maybe we should have done like a paper cutting test or something before you did this. But.
You know what? I'm going to say, yet again, this is another case for us to purchase a microscope for the...
So they always do in, like, knife sharpening videos, right? They, like, cut a piece of paper.
Yeah, or a tomato or something.
Newspaper, yeah.
Something equally difficult to cut. But it's called the triangle because the device uses triangular-shaped sharpeners that you can then flip to their flat side. So the idea being you start with the aggressive edge of the end of the triangle, and then you swap later on to the flat sides to have a more controlled and slower work.
Is each face of the stone a different grit? No,
sadly. It's just one grit per stone, and it comes with the with your rougher grit. It is by no means rough. It just feels like a piece of ceramic. And then you've got the diamond ceramic, which goes up to the next level. And if we get in close on that, I don't know how close things are here, but you can see on that edge especially how dirty it is, and that's from metal building up on the sharpening surface. Anyway, we've got our we have the alarm on the beets, so I'm going to see if they are indeed fork tender by taking one out,
putting a fork in it.
And yeah, exactly. How else would you discover if they're fork tender? Unless you've got some sort of, hardness. What is fork tender on the Mohs hardness scale?
I mean, you'd have to scrape a beet against something else. See which one rubs on the other. Yeah.
Well, I think I'm going to actually bump up the temperature a bit and leave that be for another. Let's go 10 minutes. Because it's still pretty toothy. It's not what I would call the tenderness of a pastrami. But that also gives us time to do a few more strokes here on the old knife sharpener.
Right. Yeah. Rub your rub your beet against a piece of talc, I believe is the
lowest?
the lowest on the hardness scale, and see which one rubs off from the other.
Now, at what point do you have to transfer from the Mohs scale to the Bristol scale? That's an exercise for the viewer. Okay. Ooh, that's already got a much better immediate difference in the old nail check in terms of catching on the nail. The purpose of the nail check, for those who aren't aware of this ancient and stupid tradition, is not necessarily to shave a piece of your nail off. It's to see whether or not the knife bites into the nail easily and quickly.
Although, I feel like shaving your nail is a circumstance that could happen fairly easily.
Yes. And if we just had one person today who learned about the Bristol stool scale, we've done our job.
Mm-hmm. And remember, only works for stool, not chairs or any other kind of sitting apparatus.
The Monroe Chesterfield scale. That I'm just making that up, but I feel like that could be useful for judging cushion softness and bounce.
I mean, I do like these, that it's like at various times people are like, okay, we gotta come up with some way of measuring this thing.
Yep.
This thing that everyone just, that you're just sort of like, eyeballing it all the time. And then you're like, okay, if we're going to do some real science about this, we got to find some sort of objective measurement system that we can use.
And then some weirdo walks out of a forest with a binder full of findings. Like, my moment is now.
And then that becomes the weirdo scale of whatever you're trying to measure.
Oh, that's just Mo. He spent a lot of time banging rocks together. And taking notes. Ooh. This one doesn't bite nearly as hard. I think there's actually a lot to say about the different levels of steel that are in play here between the knife that I just sharpened and the knife that I'm sharpening now.
Right. I would guess that these are relatively cheap knives that are not necessarily well optimized for sharpening. Mm-hmm. The kind of knife that is most of the sort of it's dull, throw it away.
Yeah. It's meant to be wrung through one of those V-shaped sharpeners every time you take it out of the cabinet. Do you remember?
That's really bad, I take it? Are those V sharpener things?
Oh yeah, no, they are not good. They're generally made of steel. And what they do is they do take off a bunch of steel off your knife. Depending on how hard you push at them, you can even see the little the little spirals of spent metal. But what they're doing is not so much sharpening and forming an edge as they're doing micro serrations in your blade by just jaggedly pulling the metal right off.
Right. So you do sort of end up with a sharp thing, but it's a very unevenly sharp thing.
It seems sharp, but it is not a sharpness that will stay at all. And it's 100% unhonable. I was going to say, do you remember, it would have been probably the late 90s through the early 2000s, a brand of knives called Wiltshire Stay Sharp.
I think so.
They were a brand of knife that you could buy that they came with their own sort of knife case or knife.
Right, and there was like a little thing in the case.
Yep, a little V sharpener built right into the case. And the idea being, of course, that you would be sharpening your knife every time you put it away and took it out. And I think in practice what it just meant is that people, that would happen for a while. And then as the knife got slowly more damaged, you'd have to end up just shoving it in and out of this case before you end up using it.
Yeah, I have like a little like paring knife that says like forever sharp on it that I don't know where I got it at some promotional thing, but it was like, one part of a knife set that is supposedly forever sharp. I don't know what it's made out of, but I mean, as a paring knife, it's worked quite well, and I mean, I haven't had to sharpen it, but it doesn't really. It's not really like a high difficulty type of knife for sharpening.
It's one of those things you can just run along the sharpener, and it comes back quickly. I'm trying to figure out because it's been a while since I bought this knife, and the marking on it from IKEA has faded drastically. But it looks like this is V10, I want to say, steel.
It's an IKEA knife, eh?
Yeah. V010 chromium steel. There you are. Stamped or etched on the sides with Damascus markings. It is not, in fact, a folded blade, but for the price at the time, it was one of the best blades on the market that you could buy. And then they stopped producing it.
The idea of like a IKEA traditional folded blade katana, I find very funny.
They do tend to employ a lot of Japanese designers, but probably not in the production end. All right. That's Ian's blade. Sharpened up to a acceptable level, and this IKEA stainless steel 22676 1723. That's 22676/1723. I don't know if that refers to the metal or not, but
yeah, the IKEA blade. It's folded 1,000 times. That way, it fits into the flat pack system really easily. The unfolding it is the problem.
The other technology I like knife-wise is ceramic, but I don't think I wouldn't recommend it for a chef's knife because it is, the blade does theoretically stay sharp forever, but again, what's actually happening is micro damage, sometimes causing the micro serrations. And then, of course, if you chip it, it's done forever. There's no repairing it. There's no sharpening it back up.
Do you have ceramic knives?
I used to. When I was living in Japan, I bought a ceramic chef's knife, and it was fantastic. And I cleanly cut the end of my finger off with no effort whatsoever. It's amazing. Also bought a ceramic mandolin from Japan as well. And the knife, it met a bone at some point and ended up getting a big ol' chunk out of it right in the center here. So basically...
Oh, so I thought that was when you cut your finger off. I was like, oh, Jesus.
Thankfully, no. No, that was just a tip sliced off in a flourish. That's how sharp they were. I was not prepared for how sharp the ceramic blades can be. And then the mandolin, of course, met its end, I think, on probably a carrot.
Met its end on a carrot.
Well, that's the thing. If you're going straight at it, they work great. But the minute you add any sort of axial twist to a ceramic blade, you're risking immediate shattering. And that's what happened. Okay, let's check our soft tenderness again here, because we're 10 minutes in.
And it's been sort of it's actually been boiling this whole time.
Ooh, good. Well, it's been 45 minutes. That feels more tender. You know what? I'm going to find a small one here and just see how toothsome it is. There's a small piece.
I feel like maybe you could have gone a little thinner with the thing. Well, like as you said, it does have quite good fibers to keep it all together.
Mm-hmm. But I think you're right. We probably could have maybe gone just a bit thinner.
But anyway.
Ooh. Okay. Now that is tender enough, I think, for our purposes.
I guess there also will be a little bit of cooking in the, as it's grilled as a sandwich too.
Probably, yeah, probably not that much, but you can't discount it completely, I think. Generally, when you're grilling, when I'm grilling my sandwiches, I tend not to go. It's a dance and a balance between burning the bread and
Right.
melting the cheese.
Now we must do the dance of the sandwich.
All right, let's get that off the heat. Good, heat proof.
Is it?
Yes.
All right.
Put that down because we got to bring up the old battle station, a Toastus from 19 God knows when.
Oh wow.
Yeah, this is a family heirloom. It is a waffle iron. It was used in my family for years that way. You can still see
Oh,
the
I see.
waffle
It's a
irons.
reversible.
Yeah, and then I realized it's reversible, and we've been grilling sandwiches on it ever since. What I do need to do is just kind of push the thermometer back into place, though.
Did your family not know it was reversible?
If they did, they didn't tell me,
Oh.
which is the main issue. Unfortunately, I've been trying to keep repairing this thermometer in the top. It had fallen in, and now I need to push it back in every now and then. Not that it really matters. It has cold, bake, and hot as the options.
Cold bake. Wait, cold?
Yes. And as you can see, it's currently pretty far into the, well, maybe you can, maybe you can't, pretty far into the cold.
Oh, I see. That's
section.
the current. That's the current temperature.
Yes, yeah. There is no temperature control on this thing. It is simply plug it in and it make go hot. And it works great.
Nice.
Saw one recently at a thrift shop, and
Of the same type?
yes, and did not purchase it, and I regret not purchasing a backup because it's that good. It works so well as a sandwich press in terms of getting hot and remaining hot. Let's use the fork to take these out. So just bringing these out of the pot to let them drain a bit, because again, we don't want things to be too liquid when we make sandwich.
Yeah, the soggy sandwich is no good.
No, nobody likes a soggy sandwich. Oop. Maybe we can pat the top a bit too when we...
Come on down. We have the wettest sandwiches in town.
Oh!
If you could get a wetter sandwich, your money back.
If you want a wetter sandwich, splash it. So from my taste test of that one small piece, I would say we've absolutely made a very lightly pickled beet.
All right.
Cannot say for certain whether or not this will be an analog of a Reuben, but it's gonna be delicious one way or another.
Yeah, whether enough of the spices has worked its way into the beating, the beet.
Although I am, now that I'm noticing it, I am absolutely trying to lay these out like deli meat slices.
I mean, there are quite a few places in town that are like vegetarian oriented restaurants, but like doing things that are typically, with meat. There's a quite a nice pizza place that does all vegan stuff. There's a hamburger place that does all stuff. So I mean I could imagine like I could imagine some place actually like a vegan deli doing that as a thing and having all sorts of different sort of meat equivalent kind of things.
Well, that's I love vegetarian restaurants that get creative and make interesting vegetable-based dishes. I'm one of those people who's not a fan of trying, generally, not a fan of trying to emulate the taste of meat in vegetarian cuisine.
The sort of beyond meat stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, or just trying to make tofu taste like meat.
Right.
I think it's important to respect the ingredient and enjoy the taste of what's there and combine them in pleasant ways. If you want meat, you should eat meat. If you don't want to be eating meat, then don't eat meat.
I mean, that being said, you are currently
yes
making
currently doing the opposite of what I was talking about, but I think this might be one of those things that is better off as a well, not better off, but probably is its own thing rather than trying to be called a pastrami. I think we might have to come up with a new name for whatever sandwich it is that we're making here. But let's make, well, you know what? Let's make one first that we can put aside because I believe I've traded a promo with Nelson for a sandwich in the fridge tomorrow.
So, so I guess, folks will have to see whether that comes to play.
Yes. Hold him to account, please. All right, let's get a knife out and let's spread ourselves some delicious... Where'd my fork go? Ah, it's in the pot. I'm going to need that for the sauerkraut as well. Now, I did only do enough of this spread, supposedly for one or for the 4 sandwiches, but I added extra beet, so who knows what's going to happen. That's exactly what we want to do. We want the mayonnaise and stuff on the inside, because the oil will pass through the bread and out to the outside, crisping it up on its own.
It's interesting. I was just looking at the recipe here, and you did the whole. It calls for the caraway seeds, but you added some other
a bunch of other
a bunch of other spices. But what I find interesting is that in the recipe it says half teaspoon caraway seeds, optional for more rye flavor. Mm-hmm. So like even the caraway seeds they say is optional. Like it seems like they only have the shallots and the wine vinegar.
Yeah.
In order to actually flavor the beets, which seems odd.
That to me seems like a good recipe for just having.
It's just a pickled beet sandwich might be quite tasty, but it's not quite what they're going for.
Can't say I think it would be a bad thing, but yeah, exactly. It's not in any way replicating a pastrami flavor.
Although, judging by a lot of the pictures in this recipe, I feel like maybe they were going for the look of the sandwich.
It sure does look like one, doesn't it?
Maybe more than the actual flavor.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree with that evaluation too, which is partially why I wanted to experiment with the spices a bit more.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I think that's enough sauerkraut to. We've got a bit more. We only did the 1 cup of sauerkraut, so let's assume that that's a quarter of it there. Let's load them up. Beet. 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 And then we can take our pretty pictures and then make ones for ourselves for evaluation purposes. I mean, I like the look of it. It at least on camera in studio, it honestly looks a lot more like I've got some big floppy pepperoni.
Yeah, just starting from the starting position of the beets as a sort of meat substitute. You know, in the vegetable world, there aren't that many things that look quite so nice in terms of having that kind of look of a meat.
I was wondering if there was a way I could put these beets on a like an apple spiral cutter.
Oh yeah, might work.
But yeah, I think it's going to be all about, for these sandwiches, it's going to be all about finding the thickness to cut. Because what I worried about in terms of cutting them too thin was that they would just start to break up in the boil in the cook process.
Right.
And if that happens, then you just have beet mush, and that doesn't sound like it's going to be texturally nice for anybody.
Looks a little bit like corned beef as well.
A little bit, yeah.
It's got that kind of brightly colored.
Yeah, I wonder if that's enough. That definitely should be enough, given how much we have left there on the... Again, what is a small beet when you want 2 small beets? Oh, hello. Thinking about the reaction, or not the reaction, but the reflection out of the grill here. I keep my I don't have enough counter space, so I keep my toaster above my stove. And we've seen the toaster on stream before. It's one of the Sunbeam Electric from the 50s. Has just a chromed, curved face. And anytime I open the door to get the toaster out, I see my reflection in it. But because of the distortions due to the curve of the metal, I just end up looking like Megamind. Just the top of my head gets stretched out, and just that.
It's also great if somebody is sneaking up on you while you're making breakfast. You can go, ha!
Can't let them. All right.
Yeah.
While we're waiting for the thing to heat up, let's get another one going here so that we're ready.
Montreal smoked beet.
Now that's a name I can get behind for this. Except that there is no smoked in here, and I'm an absolute fool for not bringing some liquid smoke with me. That feels like that should be an automatic add to get the smoke flavor. Because, as Alton Brown has told us, liquid smoke is in fact real smoke. It is collected residue from the smoking process. And if your purpose is to add flavor, then liquid smoke is great for that, without having to cook things in the smoke.
I do always get, there's the slight suspicion about the Montreal
liquid smoke.
No, Montreal smoked meat, where it's just like, it's always the same meat. Why don't you want to commit? Why is it not just Montreal smoked? It's like it's beef, right? Like it's beef.
It is beef, right? You have to tell us if it's not.
Why not just say that? Why are you hedging your bets Is it like in case you want to switch to another meat at some other point and you don't want to change the name of the sandwich?
Actually, it may have been that it was Montreal smoked meat back in the
Montreal smoked whatever we could find.
Exactly, and then as time goes on and food standards rise, they decided, you know what, maybe we should just do this exclusively with beef from now on.
Yeah, Montreal smoked horse didn't.
I have had horse once. No, I've had horse twice. Now that I think about it.
Was it the same meal?
No, thankfully. In fact, once was in Japan and once was in France. Horse steak in France and horse tartare in Japan. And it's meat.
Sort of, I would assume, sort of a very gamey kind of.
Not really. If anything, it was just texturally a bit more tough, but I think that also might have been just the preparation of the steak itself. So I forgot the cheese. I forgot the cheese again. Oh well, we can rebuild. Oh, you are now hot, or just about. So let's get a sandwich in you.
My speaking of Swiss cheese, my brother's partners is from Switzerland, and he was saying that one of their favorite or a delicious treat that they like is the milk from the Swiss cheese that's like in the bubbles. Like when you have fresh Swiss cheese, they have a big chunk of it. You cut it open and there's the milk or the stuff that's inside, which it never sort of occurred to me that it's like, right, of course there'll be stuff in the bubble. Like that's what causes the bubbles. There will be stuff in there left over from the process. And apparently it's a delicious treat.
Interesting. I was not aware. I did learn the difference between buffalo mozzarella and a different type of balled cheese. It looks just like buffalo mozzarella, but instead on the inside it is liquid.
I see.
Yeah, that was my anchovy pizza. It turned out okay because it wasn't. While it was liquid, it was a thickwood. But boy, that was a creamy pizza.
Oh, it was. You're right. It wasn't like a water balloon.
Yeah, it was more like a water balloon full of very runny cream cheese.
All right.
The pizza dough recipe that I've been using recently has upped my game considerably. One of the major differences is adding high gluten flour or adding a bit of gluten to your regular flour just to give that extra bit of chew. It's only about, I've found, I'm trying to decide whether I prefer 2% or 3% gluten added to all-purpose flour. But, and here's the big but, if you go to a place like that sells things in bulk, in Canada we have Bulk Barn, and you get some gluten flour. Be aware that gluten flour is not the same thing as high gluten flour. High gluten flour is wheat flour with extra gluten added. Gluten flour is gluten. And when you put that in your stand mixer, it might die.
I guess I don't really know what gluten is separate from flour. Like, I guess flour has other stuff in it. It's got like the
protein is the most important thing.
Right.
Yeah. And that's the big difference between pizza flour, the type 00, and regular flour is not the gluten level at all, but it's all about the protein level.
I mean, we did that long time ago. We did that bit on live, the Dusty Road.
Oh, wow, yeah. The first Shame Inferno.
That was sort of referencing the fact that about, you go to Bulk Barn or something and fully a third of the things are just like a white powder in a bin.
Yep.
You just got to make sure you got your labels right. Because there's a lot of things that can be white powder.
that are food. Let's be clear.
That are food.
Yes.
That are food.
They're meant to be eaten.
But they're but they are only meant to be used in specific circumstances and cannot be traded one for the other.
Actually, here's a question. Do we know if Beej is still in the building?
I don't know. I can find out.
If you don't mind, that would be great, because I'd like to know if you would like a sandwich. Because I think we have enough just for one more after you and me, Paul. Oh, and the cheese is starting to escape. So let's give that a... Actually, let's turn off the grill. Give it a flip. And try to find somewhere to put this while it cools down. How about right there? That seems like a good idea. Yep, I like that. So it definitely flattens things out, and we'll wrap that up in parchment paper for him.
Beej is indeed in the building.
Ooh. Then I will make him a sandwich.
And he is potentially interested in a sandwich.
Potentially interested.
I don't know if he's going to commit to like a whole sandwich. We'll see how it goes.
So is he going to wait for us to see how we like it? Sure, wait, or...
You guys go first.
Okay.
No, I'll lead on camera with you.
Yeah, thank you. Well, you're going to be the next up here. How many slices do we need per sandwich? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then an extra one. Perfect.
Yes. It's the standard cooking technique. 5 and then an extra one.
All right, so I'm going to see if we can cook 2 of these at once here. Oh, I think we can get away with it. I think we can sneak it. Not a sneakadoodle bite though. That is someone else's bit.
Double sandwich.
Oh,
Such decadence.
Paige, welcome to the channel.
Hi.
How you doing today?
I'm good. I thought I'd stay out of the blast zone.
Ah, good call.
Yeah.
I should start.
The sandwich blast zone.
Did you actually, sharpen the knives?
Yeah,
Nice.
well, the singular knife we have.
Oh, knife.
Yeah. Cameron was nice enough to take all of our unused knives and put them away.
Yeah.
So the drawer wasn't like half full of knives.
Yeah, specifically blade up
knives.
Yeah. I'm leaving you go in the spicy drawer.
Sorry, Beej, can you just slide on
A little more onto camera, just a little bit more.
Okay, feel free to knock any of that around. Just
Not put my fingers right in the mandolin.
Yeah. Or feet. I mean, geez, that would be one hell of a Brannick device.
What size are your feet? Ah!
They're 9 now.
Jug.
Right. That's fresh made Thousand Island, if you wanna.
Okay, some sort of remoulade kind of
Yeah, I guess you could say
situation.
that. It's a Kewpie mayonnaise, just a dash of hot sauce, some
All right.
pickles, and
I need you to understand something. I hate beets.
oh,
So we're gonna see how this goes.
you know what? This is fine. This Corey's having dinner on her own tonight. So.
Yeah, so is Heather.
Oh wait, I need to give you your cheese.
Yeah.
The Not a Drop to Drink crew is having a celebratory nosh at Denny's.
Other diners are available, but other diners are not applicable.
Yeah, I don't know if they rented a minivan or not.
That would
I
be
don't
good.
know if you can rent a minivan.
You make a good point. Jesus.
And if you rent a minivan, you probably can't return it with a wizard airbrushed on the side.
We used to rent so many minivans.
Were they not full-size vans?
Well, we rented full-size vans for a bit, and then at one point we had 14 people going, and we're like, we actually better to rent
two smaller vans
because it was cheaper to. Weirdly, it was cheaper to run two V6 engines back and forth than it was to rent a 15-passenger van and try to fit in everyone's luggage and also pay for all the fuel.
And also, drive that thing.
Yeah,
let me tell you that I drove a 14-passenger van to my interview with Peppy Kids Club to go to Japan.
Oh yeah,
because that was one of the times we were in Vancouver, and that was. I think I cut off someone with diplomatic plates, and I was going to a Japanese interview, so I can only assume it was the Japanese consulate.
Absolutely.
And that's why we drove a short bus down to Comic-Con that one time.
I would, you can get a minivan, though, these days if you want, from VW.
Oh, yeah.
I have no idea how well the ID Buzz actually performs as a minivan, but if it can carry 7 people, then that's what a minivan does. So.
Well, I mean, it's a van is a perfect shape for an electric vehicle, in my opinion, too.
Oh, yeah.
And, of course, the VW bus is just a iconic shape anyway. Yeah. Can you pass me the papier de...
right, around the corner
thank
there? You got that, yeah.
I just need to wrap up Nelson's sandwich.
The chef's paper.
Oh.
Is that what they call it in Royal English?
Sure. It is FDA approved, which is something that's going to be more and more rare as time goes on.
Mrs. Anderson. Shall I call your mother Mrs. Anderson?
Her name is Neo. All right, let's get that in there.
We already have an ID Buzz, several ID Buzzes sitting at the VW dealership.
I saw them.
Yeah, they're already here.
Surprised. Because, anything, I'm surprised when anything good actually gets released.
It's funny too, because like a lot of the stuff they were talking about releasing, they were like, okay, so we're gonna release like the 5-passenger Buzz, and I was like, boo, boo, and they're like, and in North America we'll be releasing a 7-passenger version, and I'm like, yes, that make the long wheelbase version, right? I'm like, yes, there we go.
I want the ID3.
Big. You want the ID3?
Yeah, give me small cars for life.
Oh, like a little hatch. Is a hot hatch kind of situation, or
just
regular
not a hot
hatch?
hatch? It's just a regular hatch.
Nice.
Just fine. Oh my goodness. Well, you know what?
I've been seeing.
There we go. That's a wrap.
I've been seeing these little. I don't know if they're even considered cars. Like they might just be like a mobility device, but they look like a smart car, like half a smart car.
Does the front open on it?
Oh yes.
No. The front. It's not one of those ones, but it's like it's like a 1-seater smart car.
I know the one you're talking about.
They're just like it's just. I think it's sort of I think it's more of an evolved scooter than a actual car.
Makes sense.
But it's just like it literally looks like somebody put a smart car in a smusher and like just made it narrower so it only fits one person.
They are unfortunately also insurable. So
I've seen cars like that on the streets in the Netherlands, I think, when watching a lot of the not just bikes and everything, and he's shown little tiny vehicles that are like 1-seaters, but they're not. It's not a bike. It's a 4-wheelie electric vehicle thing. You can park on the sidewalk, and I was like, okay, that seems rad, actually.
You can park on the sidewalk?
Yeah, they're like so small that they have like the parking areas where you can put bikes and stuff. They'll have areas on the sidewalk beside that. They're like, these are small enough that you can park with your personal mobility cars.
Oh, okay. It's like, you're not allowed to just abandon your bike in the middle of a sidewalk.
Everyone leaves their fucking scooters there.
Well, Victoria is also going to be getting literal golf carts that tourists can rent.
Oh, interesting.
To drive around on the streets.
On the roads?
That seems menacing.
Yeah, sure does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I'm not looking forward to that as a motorist, but oh well.
It'll be the same size as what you drive.
Yes.
Yes.
but I'm cool.
Yeah, well, and yours are like made out of metal, and the lids on those things will be made out of fabric.
There's no enclosure in it
Yeah.
either. It's
My parents actually have a golf cart.
oh,
Yeah, they living down south half the year, and of course it being beautiful outside. That in their neighborhood, it was just easier to get a golf cart to be able to like ride around on the suburban streets and kind of go from place to place if they needed to. I don't know if they still have it actually. Now that I think about it, they had it for a while and they used it quite a bit. So they might have gotten rid of it when they moved to another place, but whatever. It's fine. They probably won't be going back to the U.S. for a while.
smart move.
Uh-huh.
Oh wow, this smells like meat.
And the cheese is probably doing a lot of heavy lifting there, right?
Quite possibly.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna wrap this up for Paul here. Yep. And then one for myself.
So is this the retirement/lottery thing? If you become successful in by winning the lottery, that you'll just be like, I'm going to open a sandwich shop?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I have thought about restaurants in the past, and I think the best idea we ever had was the Ko tonkatsu place that we were going to open up.
Oh, okay.
But then I always think about, so I'm either going to have to get up really early to start prepping,
Yeah.
and then stay up all night
Right.
working the place. Running a restaurant is 100% completely incompatible with my lifestyle.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
What you want to do is you got to get one of those like super trendy places where you're just like, I'm gonna make 20 servings of this thing. I'll open when I want to open. I'll close when I want to close. And if you want to come get it, you can.
Yeah.
You know what?
And it's the most popular place in the world.
You close when I run out of food, right? Like that kind of idea.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's pretty good.
that's kind of the ramen shop I would like to open. If anything, that would probably be what I'd do. And specifically as a, what do you call them? A working band's ramen shop.
Oh, okay.
Someplace where you go and you spend $10 on a bowl of ramen.
Right.
And there is one type of ramen available, and that's the one we make.
I mean, Beej, you were just recently in Japan.
I sure was.
Is, $10 ramen, like, is it still...
$10 ramen is an exorbitant price.
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's perfect for here. Over there, that's quite a bit.
I was gonna say I doubt any of the ramen places in town do $10. Like, it's
no.
probably like 20.
One of the lesser ramen places in town just introduced $13 before tax and tip ramen, and I assume that those are also smaller portions.
Yeah. It's tough to. Yeah, there's a lot of my sort of go-to places for it's like, oh, this is great if you're just going home after a long day and want to grab something. It's like, I don't remember that this used to cost $25.
Yeah. Heather and I, on my insistence, went to the Shin Yokohama Ramen Museum.
Oh, yeah.
We did go, which I was so happy about. And it's 450 yen to get in, so that's $4.50, Canadian. And then every bowl of ramen at every place you eat, you can either get the full size or you can get the smaller version. So we opted to eat a small bowl of ramen at every place that we ate at. And you might be like, oh, small bowl of ramen, right? Oh, it'll be about this big. It'll have some broth in it and some whatever. Maybe they'll put like half a piece of pork on there, just so you can try it, so you know what the very famous flavor is like. No, for 880 yen, you get over here what is a standard bowl of ramen. And so we sat down at like 12:30 in the afternoon, having walked around the place a little bit. We popped into one of the restaurants and we ordered the small. And I was like, we started it and I was like, oh, holy shit, we're never going to finish these. Are we? And then we did. And then we went back to the museum, or we went back to the hotel, and we just got on the bed and we're just like, oh. And then a few hours later, we went back to the museum because they let you back in if they punch your ticket. We got another bowl.
Yes.
Then went back to the hotel and went, oh. And then at 8 o'clock, it's like, well, last call's at 8:30. So we went over and ordered a third bowl. We did 3 bowls.
Noise.
And it was 880 yen per bowl to eat, so you still had to keep paying to
But
get
that's
ramen.
still a
but
really good
It's
price
a perfect
for,
price for like $9 for a great bowl. It was like awesome.
Would you be so kind as to deliver this to Paul?
Which one?
That one.
I will give him this one, yes.
And then I think it might be time to taste. Yes. No,
Thank you very much.
The $10 ramen. Generally in Japan, they have what's known as the 1,000 yen wall, which for decades was the most you could ever price your ramen at. Any more than that, you'd be considered just. Yeah, it better be gourmet or huge or something.
It's like the
like-
$1.50 Costco hot dog.
Yeah, exactly like that.
It's like, what is in this ramen? Gold? What are you doing?
Because ramen is a working person's meal. It's meant to be eaten quickly and as a sustenance.
Oh God! And according to at the ramen museum and the placards and stuff, yeah, that basically harps on over and over how this is an affordable food, and that people were like making it out of their houses to sell to people after the war and stuff like that. And it was just like this was the thing that you could eat because you could afford to eat it.
It was never meant to be a gourmet piece of.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Would you like
Speaking
a
of-
sandwich?
Speaking of
a
gourmet,
Right. Let's see how this turned out.
ooh,
Huh. That works pretty good. Oh, that's nice and tangy. Nice and tangy.
But not.
I have to say, not particularly Reuben-y,
No.
but the tanginess of the beet is actually like really nice.
Yeah, but not overly beety either.
Yeah.
It's got a nice tooth to it. It's got a nice texture. The crispiness is essential.
And yeah, the crispiness of the bread, and then the cheese and the beets together. Cheese and beets. Wouldn't have thought it, but there it is.
Wow. Wow. And sauerkraut too, then? Okay, yeah.
I'm going to try turning that sauerkraut over so that I've been having the beet hit the tongue first.
Yeah.
I'm going to go over sauerkraut now.
Now, Beige, as a self-proclaimed beet hater,
Hate beets. This is lovely. Like, it's free food, so it's hard for me to ever say, oh, what a bad thing, right? But because it's free and I didn't pay for it, I don't have to try to like it. And I actually really like this. This is, if I'd had this for lunch today, like, let's put it this way. If I walked over to the parsonage and I said, I want your special, and I didn't even bother looking, and they gave me this and be like, beets, I'd have been kind of like cautiously like, I don't know about this, and I would have had like a bite and it would have been like, yeah, this works actually. Holy shit, this works really good.
yeah, and it does actually, like, I don't know if it, like I said, it doesn't necessarily have that Reuben flavor, but it does have a certain the sort of umami, as if you're like it has the feel of eating. Like, it doesn't feel like eating a vegetable sandwich.
Yeah, it has that toothiness of a really soft meat. And I think, if nothing else, it's got the aroma, but it's a hint of the aroma of pastrami. It's not
I mean, I
too
think
deep.
the cheese and the sauerkraut do a lot towards the Reubenity.
Rubenesque? The Rubenesque nature?
I'm into the part of the sandwich where there's more beet than there is other things. And I enjoyed it more when there were more other things. So I think if I was to make this myself, for whatever reason, I'd probably go really light on the beets, but
Cut them back a bit.
well, that's okay. That's just because that's my preference.
No, that's fair. I mean, I don't know what I'm doing. I'd probably do the same because this is getting a bit intense now that I'm 3 layers deep in beet.
Right.
But
How many layers of beet are you on, dude?
Did you discuss your motivation
the
for making this in the first place?
I think I might have mentioned it. I mentioned where the idea came from, where I
Okay.
managed to find the recipe. The motivation is I need to get something put together for Tinker Tailor.
Okay.
Sometimes you just need a project to do, and then you got to look through your recipe blog or your recipe backlog because you've got to fill a cooking stream.
It wasn't like you had like, I've got 3 unused beets in the bottom of my.
Oh no! These were special purchased beets
Okay.
and special purchased sauerkraut.
I mean, you're a fan of beets then, I'm guessing too.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Good Alberta boy.
Yeah, fair. Yeah. That is, I mean, yeah, that's true. Beets were a thing that would happen sometimes in our kitchen, and I would never eat them, but they would show up.
They would spontaneously show up in your kitchen?
Well,
Even when you just were living with Heather, they would still somehow show up?
very young beach.
I can't remember if it was our Discord or a different Discord that I'm on that was talking about sugar sources recently.
Well, people were surprised. I think, yeah.
Because there's the cane sugar, the other sources of sugar that are available, and the taste once you get down to refined white sugar is indeterminate, basically. But people didn't realize that beet sugar was a big. A was a thing that was actually produced, and B is a huge thing in southern Alberta. You drive west out of Lethbridge, and you'll be driving by one of the larger beet processing factories. And outside of that factory especially in winter, is a huge mountain of exposed beets. Just there to freeze out over the winter and expose their sugar.
Right. It'd be even more sweet at that point. Yeah, because it would turn to ice, and then it would break all the crystals. Holy Jesus. Because I think in the Lower Mainland, outside Vancouver, like in the Fraser Valley and stuff, I think that's where Rogers Sugar is based out of, aren't they? Because there was a whole like farming thing going on there for beets, where there was like when Rogers was having a whole like processing anomaly because people were going on strike, and all of a sudden it was like we can't get sugar into stores anymore in Canada. So if you're buying sugar, there will be none because Rogers is kind of the only supplier for most of Canada, right?
So Rogers Sugar is beet sugar?
I believe so.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Or is it the idea that it doesn't really even really matter? Like,
Yeah, that's really the case.
I'm imagining it's almost like like the thing they do with like alcohol or something, where at a certain point, once the alcohol gets refined to a certain point, it doesn't actually matter what the original thing was.
That's exactly it. Once you're getting to that refined white sugar, it's all the same. You've chemically extracted the sugar from whatever the source was. Oh, okay. Apparently, its original Rogers Sugar Company was established in Vancouver, British Columbia, as the British Columbia Sugar Refining Company in 1830 or 1890 by its American-bound founder Benjamin Tingley Rogers.
There are a weirdly large number of things called Rogers around here that are unrelated to each other.
To fulfill a promise, that's actually the second second funniest middle name that I've seen, right after Charles Entertainment Cheese.
Right. Yeah.
Except that one, it was created by a marketing team.
It was a put on. But I mean,
Benjamin Tingley Rogers wasn't done deliberately for entertainment value. That's just his name.
I have to assume it's Tingley, probably. But I like Tingley. Yeah.
And also, what if that was his idea? Ooh, yes. It'd be the Tingley Sugar Company. It gives you that tingly feeling in your mouth. And the marketing department said, no, Roger.
You are so rich, we can't say no.
But like Rogers, makes sugar. There's also a famous chocolate company in Victoria called Rogers Chocolates that is completely unrelated. Maybe they use Rogers Sugar in their chocolates. I don't know, but they are not connected. And then, of course, a massive telecom company called Rogers.
There's that too, which is even less sweet.
Both unrelated to the chocolates and the sugar.
Oh. This is a filling sandwich.
It's a big ask. My God.
I mean, you are eating essentially 6 slices of potato. It's a starch. It just happens to be a red starch. In the color sense, not in the communist sense.
I'm learning so much. I didn't realize that there was actually...
What is a red starch in the communist sense?
Well, first of all, it's our starch. Thank you.
But I'm learning that I didn't realize, because we'd go up to Tabor like once a year to camp in their provincial park. And then that also meant going into town to go see things or buy stuff or do whatever.
Yep.
And I had no idea that Tabor was actually a place that they process sugar. I just knew it for corn.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have assumed that if you told me they had a sugar factory in Tabor, Alberta, I would have been like, oh.
High fructose corn syrup.
They would have been manufacturing corn sugar, yeah. Or at least corn syrups or high fructose corn syrup or something like that.
Some form of corn-based sweetener, at least.
Well, I'm still not sold on beets.
That's all right.
This was a good experience.
I'm glad.
Yeah. And but I'm still not sold on beets. But thank you for the sandwich.
That was never the intent, but I'm glad that I got to give you a meal. Yeah.
I mean, strictly like, man, this would be like an excellent. You know, there's a lot of cafes and places around here that have sort of panini type sandwiches that they sell. This would be like an excellent, because, you know, again, you're not using meat, so it's good for vegetarians, not for vegans, but I guess you can swap out the cheese with something. And it's probably cheaper for you to make because you're not using meat.
I mean, I might just even pickle these beets for salads in the future in this style. Because they've got a lot of flavor to them right now. But to anyone who's watching right now who will be viewing the Okie Okie Fight Club tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., please tell Nelson that his sandwich is in the fridge and that he should put it in the toaster oven for a little while to bring it up to temperature and get it crisp.
He can make that decision himself, right?
Oh yeah, he can. But I think this is a
like,
sandwich.
He can decide how long he thinks
Yeah,
it should be
yeah.
toasted for. Yeah, okay. You're not going to leave your toasters here, right? Though.
No,
okay.
that's God knows what would happen to it.
Those things are so good, eh?
I was just telling people earlier that I was kicking myself a few months back. I found another exact model like this in the thrift shop and did not purchase it.
Oh. There is a limit on how many like classic appliances you can keep in your house, I think.
Especially one of them is a spare for another one, and
Yeah.
I don't think nothing can go wrong with this aside from the heating coil itself actually coming apart.
Right.
And if it hasn't happened in the, I want to say 70 years it's existed already, it's not going to happen for a while.
Did anyone comment on this online, like on the chat or anything? Because this is like a mainstay of Canadian households, I have to say. Like, if you've not seen a Toastus before, that, like, my parents had one. One of my grandparents, they had one, which means that when they passed away, my mom inherited it, so that she had two. She tried to give me one when I left, but she instead found a completely different model that was more square. So and it also has the waffle.
Ours was always a waffle maker,
Yeah,
and I
see-
didn't realize until later that, you can flip it around.
It's a sandwich maker. Ours was always a sandwich maker until one day that my dad decided to make waffles and he flipped the things and I was like, what? But then I ended up with this big square one that I think she found and was like, there, I got you much better a sandwich maker because it's much bigger. Except it's square, which means you can't put two sandwiches on it because it's narrower
on both axes.
in a different way.
Yeah.
There's more space, but you can't put two sandwiches beside each other because it needs to be wider at least. And it's like you've just given me more space that doesn't all fit.
We got two Reubens in here at the same time.
Yeah, it's really
They're
good.
amazing.
Update
Oh,
on the RoadQuest sign. Somebody posted that they saw that. I don't know if that's showing up in chat. But,
it didn't expand, but
yeah, the RoadQuest 2018 sign is still up, looking a little dirty, looking a little worse for wear,
but still
it's there.
That's so good. Oh wow, that's
Yeah.
cursed.
We should have maybe made something that could last a little longer.
No, a clipboard signed in Sharpie is exactly what that deserves.
Yeah, 7 years isn't too bad.
Yeah, the stuff in the middle is kind of all beat up a little bit, but there's only really just the LRR logo in the middle. I think all of our signatures seem to have survived.
I think so. Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, maybe there's a couple missing. Hard to tell. Maybe one in the middle there. I don't know.
I don't know. I think that's
Maybe.
just mold.
Okay, fair.
Well, what a great episode. Another success in my mind here. We have made a sandwich that is delicious, and you can make it too at home if you so choose to do so. You can also help us out by going over to patreon.com/loadingreadyrun, signing up there if you haven't already. You can sign up there just to connect with us. But what we'd really like is your money, please. on a regular basis, month by month. This is probably the best way to do it at the moment. Thank you so much to all of you who are already patrons, and of course to all of you who are on twitch.tv/loadingreadyrun, where we broadcast live. Thank you for your subs and bits there, and to anyone who's just in the chat watching along on the VOD or lurking and not saying a single thing. We see all of you, yes. And we are super happy to have you with us. So once again, from myself, from Paul over in the Crystal Gondola,
Oh.
and for
Hello.
Mage.
I had a burp brewing, but it's not there. Oh, sorry. Hold. No, it's
Okay.
not coming. It's not coming.
Not coming. Thanks so much for watching. We will see you in a fortnight. Never in fortnight, ever forward. Learning out of spite. Good night.